What's up, guys, and welcome back to the G-Red Show. We got to talk Real Madrid because we all heard what happened with Real Madrid and Toni Kroos. He is retiring from football after the Euros this summer. So we got to touch on everything from Real Madrid, his time at Real Madrid post Toni Kroos. How are they going to fare, especially in the midfield? Are they going to try and replace him with any other players, try and sign any other players, or are they going to be able to use any of the players they currently have to fill that hole? Plus a couple more things I want to touch on. This is all coming up next. So I do want to touch on Toni Kroos and just his time at Real Madrid and everything about his retirement first, and then we're going to jump into Real Madrid post Toni Kroos. So Toni Kroos has won, I want to say, 4 or 5 Champions Leagues. I want to say it's 5. And then if they win this year, 6 Champions Leagues. So he's 34, which is kind of, I don't want to say crazy that he's retiring because, 34, he's going to be 35 next January, but definitely young enough where he could still play another season or two. He's definitely still one of the best midfielders in the world, and especially with what we're seeing with Luka Modric, about 40 years old, still playing at Real Madrid, still a top midfielder in the world. But again, not everybody wants to play forever. For example, Iniesta, right? He could have played at Barcelona for a couple more years and still been at the top, but he left, the top world football while still being at the top. Toni Kroos not just leaving, top tier football, but he's leaving football altogether. So, maybe he's just fallen out of love with it. I'm not sure the exact reason why, but he did say that when he retires, he wants to retire when he's still kind of at the top, which he still is, with a chance to potentially retire winning a Champions League, La Liga, Super Cup, and the Euros. And then if all that kind of happens, could he win the Ballon d'Or? I don't think he'll win the Ballon d'Or, but if all that happens, I wouldn't rule it out, and I definitely think he'd get top 3, 4, maybe 5, regardless. So he definitely could retire with a lot of trophies. He could honestly retire one of the best ways possible. So best of luck to him, and I'm sure he has other stuff he wants to do outside of football, family stuff, maybe do some other business endeavors. So I know Real Madrid's going to miss him a lot. So, it was great watching Toni Kroos for so many years, and he's definitely going to be missed from, a German national standpoint, from Real Madrid, and definitely Real Madrid fans are going to miss him a lot. But I do want to touch on now is Real Madrid after Toni Kroos, because Toni Kroos now, he's their main guy. He's their conductor in the midfield. He's dictating the match. The speed of the match, the pace, the pressure, everything, right? A lot of it goes through Toni Kroos. We could see, for example, in the second leg of the Bayern Munich match, he was dropping extremely deep, making sure he had the ball. They were playing through Toni Kroos. You want your best players on the ball, and he's one of their best players. He was navigating traffic, moving the players around where they want to be, where he wants them to be. They're going to miss his presence. Another Toni Kroos moment that Real Madrid's going to miss, that pass he had to Vinicius when Vinicius scored against Bayern in the first leg. I don't know if they score that if Toni Kroos isn't on the pitch. He's got like a 94, 95% pass accuracy. I think that statistic, it just came out, I'm almost positive it was like 94, 95%. They just dropped that once he announced he was going to retire. There's so much that they're going to miss. And, Luka Modric, yes, still being at Madrid, but he's not going to play as much. He didn't play as much this year. He's coming off the bench. And yes, that's still good. But when you have a very young midfield with Valverde, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga, and they're all very talented, but none of them are Toni Kroos level midfielders yet. And they're not his level of IQ. They don't have his type of passing accuracy, or they're not as good as a passer as he is. So I do think Real Madrid, I don't want to say they're going to be a failure, they're going to decline rapidly without Toni Kroos, but I do think there's going to be, I'm trying to find the right word, I think it's just maybe a hole. Losing him, there's going to be a hole in the midfield from an experience standpoint, from a passing standpoint. I don't think any of those players are going to be able to next season just already jump in and fill that void. And I don't know if there's a midfielder that they're going to go out and get to kind of replace him. And again, this is nothing against those players, but I don't trust yet, like Tchouaméni or Camavinga, to play more of those deep holding roles and being able to dictate the pressure and possession and the speed of the match in a big match yet. I don't see them being able to do that. They're still pretty young and inexperienced. I definitely see, Camavinga at times, he looks nervous in bigger matches. I actually think last season he was better than this season. But I just think there might be a little bit of a lack of an experience standpoint, an ability to control and dictate the possession and the pace of the match. I think that's probably the biggest thing they might struggle with post Toni Kroos. So let me know what you guys think about that. And I guess replacing him, I'm not necessarily saying they have to replace him, because you can still adapt and try different things and maybe run a different formation. I don't really think they need to. There were talks that they want to go out and get Florian Wirtz. He's definitely more of an attacking minded player, like a winger or even a cam. And when you have Bellingham already that can play cam, and then you already have Vinny Rodrigo, and then potentially Mbappe. For me, that doesn't make the most sense from a transfer standpoint because right now he's already one of the best up and coming young players. I think he's 21, so he's going to be at the age now where, he's kind of in that where he could potentially become a superstar pretty quickly, depending on, where he goes, especially. So again, him going to Madrid could be great for his career, but when you already have a ton of world class talent where you're probably not going to start, or like, I don't understand where he would even play. This is something where Real Madrid stated in 2025 they would go after, but for me, I don't think this makes the most sense. I think they might need more of a defensive minded midfielder or just more of a straight midfielder where he's more of an attacking player. I don't know if that actually makes sense, and I don't know what other players they would consider bringing into Real Madrid. I think the main thing they probably want to focus on. I mean, again, having an excess of great midfielders is never going to hurt you because if someone goes down injured, it's great. But I think they might want to prioritize their outside back situation with both of their outside backs a little older, especially Dani Carvajal. They're going to want another right back soon. So I'd probably prioritize that if I was Real Madrid. But looking at everything holistically going forward without Toni Kroos, plus the addition of Mbappe, I'm definitely expecting Real Madrid to still be as good as they were this year because of the addition of Mbappe, and their attack is going to be ridiculous and so fast. But I just think their midfield's going to be, I think it might take a little bit of time to figure out and how they're going to play and adapt and who's going to be that main guy that steps up for Real Madrid and dictate the match. I probably think it's Bellingham. There were reports where they want to kind of move Bellingham into more of a supportive midfielding role where he can kind of control the match and play more of a supportive role, because with the addition of Mbappe, obviously they're not going to need Bellingham to be as attacking as he was this season. So I definitely can see that. He's a player that you definitely see, he makes an effort to defend. He'll make slide tackles. He'll steal the ball back. He definitely makes an effort. So I wouldn't be surprised that he's not the same type of player as Toni Kroos, but he might be able to adapt more into a supporting role and be that guy that's controlling the midfield. I guess that's my thought. So let me know what you guys think about all that down below. So I'm interested to see, obviously a lot of you, if you watch my videos before, like I'm deep down, I'm a Barca fan, but it's going to be really hard to not watch and enjoy watching Real Madrid moving forward because there's so much talent, especially with the addition of Mbappe. Their attack is going to be literally ridiculous, and everyone that plays FIFA or EAFC, I mean, everyone's going to choose to play Real Madrid next season. That team's going to be one of the best teams we've ever seen in FIFA, and I will enjoy, honestly, watching Real Madrid. I think they're going to be so fun to watch. I'm really interested to see how they cope without Toni Kroos, if they're going to be as good in the midfield, if they're going to hurt, if there's going to be anything, if there's going to be another player they try and prioritize to fill his gap, especially because I assume Modric will leave. If it's not next season, it's got to be the season after that because it just has to be. So let me know what you guys think about all that, and if there's any other transfer targets you think Real Madrid should go after to either fill Toni Kroos' void, or anyone you'd like to see Real Madrid go after next season. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate you guys sticking around, and I hope to see you guys back here next time on the G Red Show.